Yeah, that's good.
You sure?
Yeah, you look like you.
You look like you. Yeah, no,
I should have recorded that.
Oh, no, it's not recording?
No. Wait, is it?
Is it?
Oh, it is.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Compelling Conversations podcast. Today, I'm joined by my friend Saad. Saad, thanks so much for being
Assalamu
here.
alaikum, bro.
Walaikum salam. This is cool because it's like a memory thing, you know? Like, oh, sun's setting at Herman Park. We're doing a podcast, so...
What could be
cool.
better? Yeah.
Yeah. These are just casual conversations that go somewhere, so...
I'm not
let's
supposed to be
begin with
nervous
something.
or anything?
No nervousness at all. Yeah.
To just be myself?
Just be yourself, man.
Alright.
Just be yourself.
Me being myself, I'm into jewelry a lot, like watches.
Really?
Where'd you get that fossil from? Is that a fossil?
It is. It's
Yeah,
actually
very
my
beautiful.
dad's. I just kind of took it. It became mine. Yeah.
You didn't steal it, did you?
I didn't steal it. It's funny, actually. I got it for him as a birthday present,
Mm-hmm.
but, like, he never wore it, and it was just sitting there for, like, some time. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll wear it.
Did you consult him prior to doing that?
He didn't mind it. Yeah.
He didn't mind it. Because he's your dad.
He's my dad.
Do you think that parents sometimes they hold back their own self-interest in order to promote their children's inner enjoyment?
I do. I really do feel that. Especially, like, with my mom. Like, Mom, are you sure you don't want that last slice of cake? And she's like, yeah, it's all yours. It's like, deep down, I know that she wants it.
We went to this restaurant, Saffron, the new location that opened up in Katy on Mason Road. We had 4 family members, my mom, dad, sister, and myself. There were only 3 pieces of baklava left because we went close to closing time. Only 3 pieces of baklava, but 4 people. My mom said, and I'll never forget this, I'm not hungry. I'll have room for dessert. Deep down inside, I knew she wanted that baklava, but she gave it up for us.
Damn.
That's a mom's love.
Yeah, that's mom's love.
Do you think that a mom's love is more powerful than dad's love?
That's a tough one to answer.
Because really it's the mom that did all the labor work. And then she was the one that is given the duty to raise us as a child. Somebody who can't walk or talk on their own has to be carried literally to wherever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very beautiful thing, motherhood. I mean, I would just say between the mother and the father, it's different, but also the same kind of love for children. It's a different but same thing. I don't know how to put it into words. I mean, you got me thinking, but...
Same magnitude, different direction.
That might be a good way to put it.
The amount of love is the same, but how it channels through varies.
Yeah, that might be a good way to put it.
I just came from a physics lab, so that's why.
Yeah. It's interesting what you're saying. Yeah.
No, that's why I said it, because I thought it'd be interesting.
Yeah. You have this, like, there's this, like, American thing about you that other, like, American desis that I've met just don't have. Like, it's kind of like the way you speak as well. Like, people tell me I have a twang in my tongue, right? And I know that. I think the person that I've come into contact with that has, like, something similar is you, where it's like you speak a little more American than they would, so to speak. Where does that come from?
Where does that come from?
Yeah.
You know, going back to our original conversation about love between child and parent, I think grandparents, they tend to love their children's children more than their actual children. Because...
What makes you say that?
What makes me say that? And I'll explain why. Because, at least from my experience, I can say that. I can testify to that. Because my grandpa, from my dad's side, and my dad, so along that paternal lineage, my dad and his dad didn't really have that good of a connection growing up, because my dad went abroad for his university studies, and so he wasn't home as long as, say, his other friends were that actually stayed in Pakistan for their school, for their graduate school, for their PhDs and stuff like that. So my grandpa, he came with his wife, my grandma, and still on my dad's side. They came to New York City to take care of myself and my sister, because both of my parents were working full-time jobs, and there was nobody else at home to take care of us. And we were kind of in a, I would say, disparate financial situation. We weren't poor, but it's not like we could go on a vacation whenever we wanted to, like we could afford to do now, alhamdulillah. But with his presence, he was able to really bond with me way more than he ever could with my dad. And because he started bonding with me at such a young age, that really, it solidified the connection that we had for good.
Do you think that's where the twang in your tongue comes from? Or like the Americanness of your voice, your granddad?
He had a very profound effect on me. And he himself was a businessman. So a lot of businessmen, they try to be more extroverted in order to make other people comfortable so that they can actually get what they want from making a deal. So whenever he would talk to me or like speak to me, lecture me, love me, stuff like that, he would always do it in a way where I would have my own opinion. He would allow me to express my own thoughts, but he would also make sure to go out of his own way to continue the conversation, to make sure that my voice was heard, so that I could express everything that I want to, and therefore make other people's comfortable by giving them stuff to also talk about from what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So all of that combined, I like to really go up to people, shake their hand, look them in the eye, shake their hand, and just talk to them about anything. And I'll give you an example. I think this was 2 days ago. Herman, like one of the brothers in the basement. I just
Ottoman.
Yeah, that one.
That's an interesting name.
He's from Bosnia.
Huh.
Yeah. He's another Bosnian brother's brother. Like, blood-related brother.
No way.
Yeah.
Who? Edin?
Yeah, him, yeah.
No way.
Edin, yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow.
And then our other Bosnian, that's, what's his name? Amir. Yeah. So I just walked up to Ottoman. I shook his hand. I'm like, oh, I don't know who you are. Let's have like a little conversation. So I shook his hand, talked to him a little bit, small talk. And then as I was leaving, his brother, Edin, he's like, bro, you're so friendly. Like, you just go up to people and like, you just start talking. And I think I get that from my grandpa. Just by his example of how he dealt with people and how he dealt with me. That's what I am now emitting in my personality.
That's cool. Yeah.
I think it is. And I think it's made me a better person.
Yeah,
I'm more accepting of other people. I like talking to other people. I want to get to know them, know their problems, know their struggles, so that I can educate myself along the way.
Interesting. Yeah, I clapped hands with your granddad for like 10 seconds, but he seemed to, he seemed to have that sort of energy. There's this thing that you say, I always forget what it is, but you say it and I'm like, yeah, like that's...
How you doing?
But the way you say it.
How you doing?
How you doing, yeah. I don't know, it just makes me think of Woody Harrelson for some reason.
Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
You know where I got how you doing from?
Where?
Matt LeBlanc in Friends, or whatever the TV show was that he did. I think it was Friends.
My sister loves Friends, but I've never seen it. Yeah. But now I'll have to check it out for that.
Yo. Sure. Do you think... Alright, yeah. I mean, watching a TV show as a hobby, I'm all for it, as like a time pass. But we have to know the distinction between wasting our time and spending our time. That is key for the younger generation, especially in today's age. With social media, it's at the tip of your fingertips. We used to use that phrase for, like maybe a biology term, like the mitochondria. You don't know what the mitochondria is?
Mitochondria.
Exactly. But if you look
I see mitochondria.
If you look it up in a book, it'll show you that it's pronounced mitochondria. That information is at the tip of your fingertips.
Who says mitochondria? I'm curious.
There's like the show like Never Have I Ever on Netflix.
Oh, and that's what they say?
Yeah, like that dumb guy who's like really hot.
I don't know, but oh my goodness, I didn't know that. Yeah.
But even that information, how to pronounce like a complicated word, that is at the tip of your fingertips. So imagine what else is at the tip of your fingertips after so much time in the technological age has elapsed. We have pornography, nudity, a lot of bad stuff, a lot of fitna. To put it all in one umbrella term, fitna. It is at the tip of our fingertips.
What is fitna?
What is fitna?
Tribulation? I think it's what it's most commonly translated as, right? Tribulation.
If I were to put in my own words how fitna affects me, I think it's deviations. Any material that deviates me from the remembrance of Allah. and from living a life of purpose and servitude towards others.
Yeah. Servitude is an interesting thing that you just mentioned. There's this thing, outreach in the barrio. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I went out to help one Sunday, and basically we package food and we give it out to the homeless. And my friends were like, I asked them like, hey, why do you like doing this? And like, oh, like you feel good for doing it. You know, that whole trip that we were doing it, like it was cool. You know, I'm happy that we were able to help, but I didn't feel good necessarily. And it's something I've noticed to a certain degree where it's like, being of service of others is great, but it doesn't necessarily make me feel good. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts on that?
So you're saying that being in the service of others, namely doing something to help them survive, doesn't... What exactly?
There's this idea like, oh, when you do it, when you help people out, like you're going to feel good.
Feel good?
It's like I don't necessarily feel that.
I don't think you're supposed to feel good. I think you're supposed to feel more humble, more thankful for what you have. It's supposed to make you feel like you must proclaim Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Because if you're not thankful for what you have and Allah just takes it away from you, well then you might be sad, yeah, but you'll know that it's also partly your fault because you weren't thankful for it in the first place, so why should you have it? What appreciation did you exclaim for it in the first place? So why do you deserve it?
And it's making me think of another thing, which is that not everyone serves in the same way. Not everyone helps in the same way.
Of course not, no.
You know, and like for example, helping the homeless, that was great, no doubt about it, but I feel like perhaps I'm of better use doing something else for another group of people, so to speak. Do you feel that way as well? Like, yeah, like there's just some things that are, everybody just sees them as like the good thing to do or the right thing to do. But you're like, yeah, that's great, but I'm not so much a part of that. I'm more a part of this. Mm-hmm. This is the way I help people.
Totally. When we went to San Francisco, I think 7 or 8 years ago, my dad was talking to a taxi driver who was also Muslim that was, taking us from our hotel to some restaurant. And they were just talking about looking down on someone below you. No, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Using someone below you in status as a reference point to your success is much better than looking up to somebody above you and obsessing over what they have. So the example that they went over, to put all clearly, is the neighborhood that we're going through. There were these massive houses. My mom went on Zillow, looked up the price of any given one of them. Can you guess what the price was?
Something Californian.
$30 million. We don't have a $30 million house, but we have a home, alhamdulillah, that's way more expensive than way more than half the homes in America. If you look at the median price of homes, we're well above that, alhamdulillah. We have so much, and there are other people that have more than us, but they're obsessing over what the next person ahead of them has, that they're not looking at what they have right now, and that it's better what they have than somebody below them. All of the people below them want to be just like that person in the middle, but that person in the middle keeps looking up at the next person. They're obsessing over the next new Rolex, the new S-Class, the new anything, the latest gizmo, where actually they already have something that a lot of poor children, a lot of hungry people, they dream about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I think. So in order to serve, so what I want to go into with that is we're all very different. We have different circumstances, different situations. We have different resources. So the way I like to help out most is I take out my phone and I take down the phone number of an underclassman who needs some kind of academic help, some kind of networking help. If somebody needs, I don't know, help on a chemistry homework, I've already done both the general chemistry, so I'm very excellent in that capacity. So I can help them out in that case because this person is suffering academically. They need help in their academics in order to do better in school. I can help them out in that capacity. Anybody who has an automobile has a couple hours free time, they can make up a couple sandwiches and feed the hungry. They can go out with those sandwiches in their car and feed hungry
Yeah, I
people.
like that. I like that there.
But not everybody has done as well as I have in general chemistry in order to help out other people, in order to tutor them the way I can.
Yes. No, I like this. Yeah.
I mean, of course, I'm not trying to sound arrogant. I need help in organic chemistry and like physics for that. But general chemistry was a breeze for me. So I can very easily help out somebody in that capacity.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm most useful.
No, I like it. I like that you mentioned that. It's a very good point.
Because also, what you said, maybe suffering isn't limited to just being hungry, to like the basic human necessities. What if we extended that definition of suffering to also academics and a bunch of other stuff, like any kind of tribulation, any kind of hardship in life?
Yeah. Very
like
this
even
is a very good
walking,
point, yeah.
even walking, you could push somebody in their wheelchair so that they don't have to like constantly, burn their forearms as they wheel themselves.
Yeah. No, it's a very good point you're making here.
You brought out your notebook. It's that important?
You say many cool things, but I just had to. I was sitting on it. It was hurting me, so I had to take it out.
Okay. You took it out the right moment. Made me feel good.
Oh man, yeah. What's on your mind like right now?
What's on my mind right now? Both of my parents work full-time jobs. My mom is a physician, but she works in Beaumont, so she goes on like
It's far place, eh?
and from Katy.
Yeah.
That's why it's far. About a 2.5 hour drive. In rush hour, it's like 5 hours, which is awful for her. But parents will do what they have to do in order to give their children the lives that they never had. But what I'm looking forward to most is she's coming back later tonight, and I really just want to go up to her and give her a nice big hug, because I haven't seen her in 5 days.
Yeah, one of those memory moments. I like that. That's cool.
Mm.
I wanted to ask you about Florida.
Florida?
I feel like you're one of the few Floridans I know.
Soy un cubano. I'm a Cuban. I'm a certified Cuban. I've lived amongst them for about 7 years.
Yeah.
They're good people. They,
I mean, outside of Cubans, like, just being a Floridan. Because, like, I'm from New York, like yourself, right? But
I live there, too.
I remember when I went to Austin, this guy was talking to me. He's like, where are you from? And I said, New York. I was like, oh, really? Like, when'd you get here? And I was like, oh, when I was, 5. And he's like, wait. So you're more of a Houstonian. You're more of a Texan than you are a New Yorker, man. And when he said it to me that day, I was like, yeah, he's not wrong. So I see myself as in more of the tradition of the Texan. But, like, yourself, do you see yourself more of a Floridan or a Texan? Or how do you put it into words for yourself?
I think.
I hope it's still recording, by the way.
Should we give it a check?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, we're still good.
Oh, great!
We're going at 18 minutes. It's going good so far.
Awesome. Okay, we got some more time.
I think. All right. So if you stay in one spot and only one spot for your entire life, you are a person from that country. For example, you have a Chinese person whose parents speak Chinese, but they were born in a country like Germany, for example, and they've only stayed in that country. They've been in that country their whole entire life, from birth to death. Do you think that they're Chinese or that they're German now?
German.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I have been born in one spot, lived in another spot right after, moved to another spot, moved to another spot, moved to another spot. I don't think I'm Pakistani, New Yorker, Floridian, or Texan. I think I'm more human, because I've seen a lot of different kinds of humans. So
Floridian or Floridian?
I think it's Floridian. That's what I've heard anyway.
Interesting.
Well, maybe Floridians. Well, okay. Maybe Floridans call themselves Floridians in Florida, but people outside of Florida call them...
Floridans?
Yeah. I lost myself in that.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
But I think I've seen... I don't think I'm attached to any one country. Maybe by citizenship, politically speaking, I have to give some kind of loyalty, but otherwise, in my nature, my character, I don't think I'm any more New Yorker than Miamian. Or Floridian. I don't know.
Houstonian.
I don't think I'm any more New Yorker than Cuban.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it all, and I know how to deal with these different kinds of people.
Yeah.
Cubans are way more... Okay, well, actually, if you compare them to a New Yorker, nobody's more aggressive than a New Yorker, especially in rush hour traffic. But the New Yorker is way more aggressive than the Cuban. But I can get by with both of them. I can comfortably live in the same society as either one, because I've had that living experience with them. And if I can deal with very aggressive people, I can now deal with less aggressive people, more passionate people, more friendly people. So basically, I've opened myself up to that whole spectrum of different personalities. So I can fit in anywhere, I think.
That's pretty cool. You know, there's that famous movie, Scarface, and it takes place in Florida. And
With Robert De Niro?
with Al Pacino. And
Yeah.
like, there's this one thing I just remember from it. The world is yours. It's a pretty heavy statement, but
The world is yours.
it possesses its truths. What do you think of that? The world is yours.
What context was it used in?
Well, I mean, he's like, you know, this gangster who's like got all this drugs and money, and he's built this little empire up. But just in general, this idea that the world is yours, you know, that the way I see that, just that statement, you know, even outside of that film, is that don't limit yourself. The possibilities exist. They're out there. The world is yours. Take it on, type of a thing.
I think people are just lazy. They believe in that statement, but in order to realize that statement, you actually have to get out there and actually do something about it. It's so hot right now. A lot of people, they'd rather be glued to Netflix in their AC room, just having a vibe. Whereas they could have been outside talking to somebody that from a country they've never been to and trying to understand that different perspective. The world is yours in many different ways. You could have the same living experience as, say, a Russian just by talking and living with a Russian man. But you don't want to do that. You want to, like, be lazy. Just watch Netflix all day. If people got out more, they would realize that even their own neighborhood is like its own little world. There's so many different people, so diverse in your own neighborhood.
So many neighbors you don't even know exist.
Exactly. Because I didn't even know that I had a neighbor around the corner of my block until I actually took a walk in my neighborhood, and I happened to go around that corner. Even in my car, I'm just always in a rush to get to, like, the destination, school, work, or whatever.
Bundukan.
That too, of course, when I'm with the parents, because I can't afford to eat out on my own. But even in my car, I'm just zooming by that one little house in the corner that I never even realized that it was there. But when I took that walk, I met that very friendly neighbor. He's Russian, very nice to talk to. He has 3 children, 2 sons, 1 daughter. The sons are both pharmacists. The daughter's a veterinarian. Very nice people. I would have never met them had I never took that turn on that walk.
Yeah. You never know who you'll meet, who you'll run into.
Very true.
Is this it?
Is
this
this
podcast? Does it feel like this is it?
I think, yeah, the point that you bring up, the world is yours, there's a lot of exploring to do. And that begins with getting up off of your butt and actually doing something about it. Getting out in the world. So let's get up together. I invite you.
Yeah, and yeah. And I just love how they're all seated out there.
Oh, yeah,
we
we should probably
record
go
this,
join.
right?
Yeah. Let's hope it's still recording. Yeah, it was today.
They'll get featured in it too, eh?
The whole MSA. MSA is family.
Yeah.